So a few words of today's guest, Viggo Simonsen. He is from Denmark. He's born in London, and but already 1967 he has moved to Denmark. And what is nice with Viggo is that he's very busy in his working life, but he has also taught meditation for 35 years, over 35 years. So what he's going to tell us today is something very practical and definitely he has tried it himself, how it works. Today's topic is staying light, and it is such a lovely idea how to stay light in today's world. It feels like there is a lot of stress, and whether it's economical, political, all this corona pandemia, it seems that there's a lot of heaviness in the world today. So I think we all need some tips how to stay light in the middle of all this busy and possibly stressful life. Warm welcome for Viggo. And personally, I would like to tell Viggo is nice. Even he takes this meditation very seriously, but he has a very nice, relaxed attitude for things. So I really think you are the best advocate to teach us how to stay light. Warm welcome. I hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Gita, and let me know if the sound is loud enough, and if I speak too fast, then please also tell me. So, yes, I just made a quick list of the key items, I would say, the prerequisites of being able to live a light and easy life. There are probably more, most likely, but I think these are, if we can master these, then we are certainly in a good shape. First of all, being self-assured in the sense that I should trust my own decisions, my values, and I should not let my decisions be influenced by other people's views or reactions. I should have a sort of very value-based life. This is something I always come back to, because I think this is really the key to the good life. It's really to be value-based. So it means that everything I do is based on my understanding of what is right and wrong from whatever source that comes. But once I have gained some kind of conviction or a value system, then I should really keep to it, and it should be a guiding principle in my life. So that means that my my thoughts and words and actions, responses, relationships, all my dealings should be based on conscious decisions, and it should be in accordance with my value system. It shouldn't go against my values. This is certainly a prerequisite for having a high self-esteem, high self-respect, and I think that is also very important for this topic. And then I think another key element is to be very sort of my flow through life should be very, very easy and light. So I should not have great expectations, neither negative or positive expectations. Really, I should be quite objective and neutral. No anticipation of the result of my actions. This is a very a very common principle in especially Indian philosophy. You find this in the Gita as one of the main principles in the Gita, that you should conduct every action as a sort of sacrifice. It should be done in the right mindset, in the right consciousness, but you should not be very conscious about the outcome. You should not be anticipating the outcome. And again, neither should we anticipate failures. Sometimes we have a very negative expectation of the result of our actions. And again, it comes back to a lack of trust in ourselves. So we do something and we expect that this is not going to turn out well. But that is obviously a burden for us if we do that. It will not allow us to remain light. But on the other hand, we should also not be waiting or anticipate positive outcomes, and that will take away the peace of our mind. We'll be very agitated all the time because we are constantly waiting, and it makes us maybe impatient, and it will hurt our inner peace. So that also is wrong. So that's why the principle is that I should act and then I should forget. I shouldn't sort of constantly monitor the progress and the fruit. I should just let the fruit emerge at the right time. But once I've done my action, I should forget. And in that way, I can always be light on my journey. So I don't stick with the past, with my past karma, my past actions. I'm always on the move, always free. Then there is a principle which I also think is very important, which I certainly also practice a lot, and that is to make sure that I am properly prepared for any task, any situation, but not over prepared. So it's a very fine balance, I think, between between being prepared, doing your homework, make sure that you are ready for any given task, but at the right measure, not too much, not too little, and certainly not too early and not too late. So there's a correct timing and a correct amount of any preparation. If I prepare too early for things, there are various problems with that. One is that the thing I prepare for might never turn out or turn out to be relevant. Things change, and as you mentioned yourself, we are living in a very unpredictable time now, so things can change at a moment's notice. So if we prepare too early, we risk to actually prepare in vain. We could just as well have waited a bit and then maybe avoided that preparation. So there are very good practical reasons why you should not be too quick in your preparation. So a good principle is to wait as long as possible, not too long, because then you cannot prepare in time, but you should not, you shouldn't do it before that. And then you should do it at the right amount. If you prepare too much, it means you are probably not very comfortable with you can say uncertainty. You will see that people who are very, very minutious or very, very detailed in their preparation, they often do it because they don't want any unforeseen factors. They want to be in full control of a situation. Now, this, I think, is also, it also goes against the desire to live a light life, because if we have this kind of control tendencies, then we will also have tension. There will always be tension in our situations, and we cannot control life like that. We know that things might turn out differently, and then we have to adapt, we have to improvise. So there's really no good reason and no sense in being over prepared. We should prepare anything to the extent that we sort of feel confident about it, and then we should take it from there and improvise and see how things develop. This is at least my principle, and I think if we have the right balance here, we can live a life in without worries and without agitation and tension. Then another thing is to be very light about your own mistakes and shortcomings. So we all make mistakes in life. No one is perfect, even though we are aiming towards a state of perfection. None of us are there yet. So this is a sort of condition, a premise that we have to accept. But sometimes it can be very difficult to accept that you accept your own errors, your own faults, and all sorts of things, bad habits, bad thoughts, and you feel bad about yourself, and you then obviously you feel heavy. So we should also learn how to stay light about our own mistakes and misdeeds, and that includes, of course, our entire past. So we shouldn't carry our past with us. This is an obvious prerequisite. If we are carrying the past with us, any burdens or anything from the past, there will be heaviness. So the sign of a person who lives a life with lightness will be that he's always traveling very lightly. No heavy baggage from the past, not even from the last moment. We will not, as I said before, we will not even remember our past actions. We will not dwell with them and keep repeating them in our mind and considering, should I have done it differently? Or what we do is what we do. That's sort of past is past, as we say. And we should learn from our mistakes, we should improve, but we should certainly let go of what has been done, because that is, we cannot undo that. Then I think we should try to be unassuming, sort of modest in our dealings with other people, in our relationships. We should, I mean, the ego, the arrogance, the vanity is going to make us very heavy and very complicated in our relationships. So if we want to stay light, we need to somehow achieve a state of, if not complete egolessness, then at least have as little an ego as possible. And this is, of course, it's easily said, but in practice, this is not an easy thing to achieve, and certainly not in any artificial manner. I mean, this is something that has, either it's there or it's not there. And if you can get rid of your ego in a sort of easy way, then you are very fortunate, because you will, at the same token, you will get rid of a lot of issues in your life and a lot of complications. But it is one of these things that, for some it might be a little thing, for others it's a huge thing, and it can take years to really, and maybe there's no guarantee that you will ever get rid of it. It's something we have to be very conscious about, and we certainly have to know ourselves quite well and be able to detect this ego because it's very subtle in the way it appears. But we can always recognize it by the fact that it will be accompanied by fear and tension. We will not be able to be light in our relationships. It will always make our relationships tense. So we don't want that. I mean, we want to be light in our relationships. That's, I think, the ambition of every human being. But we also know that it's exactly in those relationships that we are often feeling the pain and the burden. And so we have to learn how to interact and deal with people in a very light manner. And that brings us to the next point of giving other people space. Don't interfere with other people unless there is a good reason for it. We all have our own life, our own journey, and our own karma. And anytime we interact with another human being, there is potential karmic accounts created. So we have to be very careful when we interact. Of course, we should interact, but we should not interfere. We should not entangle ourselves with other people's karma. That is something we very easily do. Again, if we have an ego issue, it will certainly urge us to interfere in that way, to try to influence other people, or to make decisions on their behalf. Or we have to be extremely careful here. And if we want to stay light, we have to stay outside karmic entanglements. And that requires a lot of wisdom, how to keep ourselves sort of clean on that note. Then, as they say, don't keep any enemies, but if you do, then at least don't hate them. So ideally, we should have no enemies. I mean, there will in practice always be maybe one or two people who, for some reason, we have some karmic account with, or they are causing problems in our life. But we should at least try to have, if not positive feelings for them, which can maybe be difficult, at least have neutral feelings. So we should not hate them. We should try, until we have the karma settled somehow, maybe we need to grow a bit. At least until then, we should have tried to keep a neutral and a formal relationship, and certainly not have negative thoughts. Any negative thoughts about anyone, we are going to pay the penalty. We are the first victim of that. So not thinking negative about others is really for my own sake more than for the sake of others. I should protect myself from that. And then on the same note, we should not allow ourselves to be offended. Some people are very sensitive and get easily offended by other people's words. That sort of sensitivity is not good. And it will also obviously not allow us to stay light. So we should be able to take anything, be able to hear with one ear and let it out through the other. That sort of lightness. And again, if we are complete in our self-respect, then we will not have this tendency to get hurt or offended. We will be light because we know our worth, we know who we are, we know what we want. We are not depending on other people's words, whether it's praise or defamation. It really doesn't make any difference. It shouldn't add or remove anything from us. Then I think we need to have very good habits and a healthy lifestyle. And I mean, some of these points are very, very down to earth, very practical. We should make sure that we are not in any way burdened by bad habits. It could be anything, such as laziness or carelessness, or things that may seem very sort of innocent and something most people live with and sort of accept, but it's not really in accordance with spiritual principles and a spiritual lifestyle. We should be very attentive to that and really try to discipline ourselves and have some good routines. And I think if you look at people who have success in their life, you will often find that they are actually quite disciplined, and they have they have a sort of stamina. They are not lazy or careless or complacent. They have ambitions. Maybe they are over ambitious sometimes. That it will also cause problems, but there is a sort of alertness in their attitude, and I think we need to sort of cultivate that. This can be initially a bit difficult if we feel tired and depleted, but as we gradually gain power from meditation, I think we should make sure that this power is converted into practical powers like these. And that is actually something we need to be attentive about, because if we don't, it doesn't come by itself. Many virtues and powers, practical powers, they don't come by themselves. They have to be cultivated by some sort of value-based attitude. Yoga will give us the power, the needed power to be able to implement them, but we still need a conscious choice, a decision, and some monitoring and some control here. Then I think we should make sure that we stay far away from any power games or other intrigues that are sort of deceiving, that will be deceiving us, and they will sort of lead us astray away from our spiritual path. So it's very, very easy to get sort of trapped and sidestepped on this journey if we get into any sort of power struggles or power games. And again, it's the ego that plays these games. So we need to have a very sharp eye on our ego. Connected with that, we should also make sure to revise our ambitions, our ideals. What are we actually aiming for? We should have a very, very clear vision of that, and we should not deviate then from that course, because it's like, I on a journey I have to go to some place, and there can be all sorts of attractions and temptations to deviate from my path, but I don't want to do that. I mean, I want to reach my aim here, my goal, and so I have to be again very aware of these things, and they are certainly going to steal my my lightness, because if I get into power games and competition, all of these kind of things, then it will also put a burden on me. I cannot be light and easy and sort of relaxed and natural in my relationships with people with whom I'm competing. That's obvious. So it's really, at the end of the day, it's destroying my relationships. And then finally, I think a good regular meditation practice is very, very important. If I if I don't have attention on meditation, I will never be able to accumulate the power that will allow me to develop all of the things I have mentioned here. So again, it's coming back to this fact that our journey is a sort of two-prong. We're walking on two legs. We have one leg that has to do with the implementation of spiritual values, and the other that has to do with the accumulation of spiritual power, which will then allow us to implement the values. So there's a dependency here. We need both. None of them are enough by themselves. We certainly need spiritual power that can only come from one source, from the Supreme through meditation, and but then that power has to be converted. It has to be implemented as life competence powers, and that will also not happen by itself. So there's a very, very clear sort of division here. One thing is, in a way, God's responsibility to empower me, but it's my responsibility to do all the stuff I have mentioned here. That has to come from my understanding, my wisdom, and my willpower. So these were just a dozen or so of I would say very important prerequisites for being light, and of course there are others, but all of those have actually helped me a lot in my life. So yeah.
Any questions? Thank you, Viggo. I really liked very clear advices how to stay light, and some of them I can understand they come from your own experience and really, really well thought, like how to properly prepare and do your homework. Too little, too much. It is definitely a balance, but you explained it in a very nice way. Here is if anybody has any questions. I know our audience have been listening to you very carefully, and sometimes when we are just listening, it's maybe the questions comes a little bit later. But may I ask you, maybe this is a bit personal, what has been the biggest challenge for you? What is the threat for your lightness that you have to really do your internal work to maintain your lightness and being relaxed?
Well, I have actually discovered, maybe not as a recent discovery, but I have discovered and again, time and again, that I do have some very strong anger, sort of sanskaras, as we call them. I mean, which emerges sometimes, and they will never come out of my mouth or through my actions, but they will remain as on a thought level only. But that is something that has made me quite say aware of a kind of it's a vice. I mean, it's a deficiency that you can of course you can live with it, but it's not going to be improving your happiness or life quality in any way. On the contrary, so it's really something that has to be dealt with, and it's really not so much a question of reacting to any situations that are appearing in front of me. It's more just maybe thinking of something that has happened in history, some injustice, or something very abstract that I am not related to at all, that can really sometimes create that sort of fury inside me. But then, I mean, it subsides within half a minute or so. So it's sort of very, very short-lived. But of course, it's something that has to be overcome, because it's.
Yeah, that's a good observation, and something what can be seen. Anger many times is not really. It's something. It's better to put down and not to express it. So meditation is a lovely tool to really notice that, oh, I do have this kind of feelings, and to get them sorted out. So what is the technique you have? Kind of see how ridiculous it is to get too angry, or
I think, as with all other vices, you have to catch them at an early stage, but most importantly, you have to sort of make a very conscious choice that I don't want this. I mean, that is how the power of our will. The willpower is immense. With willpower and the power of yoga, we can really have full check and full control over these things. But without willpower, there will be no way we can overcome. We'll be overpowered by those sanskaras. So the willpower is really the power of the intellect, of the of the understanding. So that there's a whole handful of prerequisites here. I have to be motivated, I have to see the benefit of getting rid of it and experience the harm of not getting rid of it, and then I have to have the willpower and the persistence, the patience, all of that which is required, because this is in many cases things we have to live with for years before they completely leave us. We have to again accept ourselves with our shortcomings, and still be happy with ourselves. I mean, it shouldn't affect our self-respect in any way, but there should at the same time be this very clear awareness that I am having certain issues and I have to deal with them, and I have to improve and sort of grow. And so that's this constant balance we have to keep, because otherwise our life can easily become a drag in itself. Spiritual efforts can be very heavy if we are sort of bashing ourselves and not allowing that love and self-respect.
Very nice. That was a nice answer. We have a few other questions. So Henna is asking, what is a good way to let go of past? You were speaking about it, forget it, but sometimes you forget it, but they come back. And so if something is really bothering us, and no matter what we do, it comes again, what is a good way?
I think it's one of those things that the yoga solves for us in its own unique magic way. I mean, I don't know how else we would be able to let go, but letting go and forgetting is really the sign of good yoga. And not only yoga, but having a very, very profound experience of God's love. And once you have had this experience, I mean, just a few times maybe, it will sort of wash away or burn away all those past memories and traumas and whatever is lingering inside us, and which can be something that goes all the way back to our childhood maybe, or before our spiritual life started, and if it keeps coming up again and again, it really becomes a kind of ghost that comes in front of us and between us and God. So it's difficult to suppress things that come up. You really just have to feel so fulfilled that that thing doesn't have any space to emerge. So if you keep remembering people who have been harming you in the past, once you understand that that was just their part, and we have gone beyond that. I mean, that has been settled. It's past, and I should really experience the full benefit and the joy of whatever I'm getting now from Baba, or the Supreme Soul. If that is a reality for me, if I really do experience that fulfillment, that contentment, that bliss, then I think these things will disappear by themselves. I don't think there's any room for them. So I can be sure that if they keep coming back, there is something that is still missing inside. There is not a complete fulfillment.
Very nice. And you said it nicely also in the talk that virtues and powers have to be cultivated, and really nice that it's a conscious choice. You need to give time for it, and it just doesn't happen by accident. Okay, so to let go, conscious effort for it. Here is
I think there are, for all of us, there will be certain things that come easy to us, and these are, I often think of them as blessings. So these are the you can say the powers and virtues that we have basically brought with us into the spiritual life. So they were always more or less there, also in the past, maybe not in such a refined way, but we have had them. They are pretty much part of our eternal personality, and they will become assets. Those are really important assets, because it means we can make them our specialities, and we can do a lot of good based on those, and those will be non-issues in our lives. We will not have any issues developing those. We are more or less gifted with them. But anything else which doesn't come naturally to us, it will not be acquired unless we make this conscious choice. This has to come from our understanding, from motivation, and from willpower, and then with the power we gain from meditation to sort of clear out all the hindrances, because if I have sort of if I have a low self-esteem issue, it's probably because I don't have a sense of security. I think they are deeply connected. And if I don't have a sense of security, I really need to absorb more peace in my life. I mean, I really have to go really to the bottom of the ocean of peace to get that sense of security. And then it will remove the obstacles and allowing me to develop self-respect. So there are certain things that we cannot develop unless and until all these deficiency syndromes have been cleared out.
Yes, thank you, Viggo. Here is I guess the anger issue have sparked some questions, and here is from Jana that if I understand right, the comment, I have angry neighbor, and lightness with that is difficult. Any tips?
Angry neighbors.
Angry neighbor. This is how I understood the comment. If Jana can add, if there's some.
But are they angry with you, or they are angry with each other and they just make noise? I think we need to know a bit more details here.
More details, maybe, yes.
If they are angry with you,
whom they are angry. Yeah.
Of course, if my neighbors are angry with me, then I have to ask myself why. There might be good reasons.
Yeah.
But it might also be that they just have an angry nature, and I mean, what can you do about that? You just need to keep cool, and I mean, we don't want again to enter any conflicts or any disputes. So every time we go into a conflict or any sort of confrontation, we have to have good reasons for it. I mean, we have to do it as, again, a conscious choice. It should not be done as a instinctive response, simply because we feel hurt or our ego is being triggered. That is not the sign of a spiritually enlightened person who has good self-control. So anything we do, I'm not saying we should never confront people. Sometimes it's necessary to assert yourself, but you should do it as a conscious choice. You should know why you're doing it and what you want to achieve from it.
Yes, thank you. Here's another comment or question. What do you do at those moments when you realize that it is anger that is influencing? Is it clear, the question?
I think it's a bit like with a fire, you know. If you discover that something is on fire, you try to extinguish it as soon as possible before it spreads. So if we allow anger to burn in our mind just for a few seconds or minutes, it will stir up our whole nervous system, and I mean the physiological reaction will be very unpleasant, and that will linger on even after the thoughts are gone. You will still be under the influence of that state of the body. So you should just try and eliminate that and stop thinking. I mean, sometimes it's just a question of stopping your thoughts train, and but then I think we have to go a step beyond that. We have to ask ourselves, why are we having these angry thoughts? I mean, if they must be coming from somewhere, and we need to know ourselves quite well here. I think we should not be sort of naive, and if we want to make progress, we need to have a increasingly deeper understanding and realization of ourselves. What is going on inside? Are there, hidden spots that I haven't sort of seen or realized yet? And that can certainly appear. You can along the journey, after many years, you can suddenly discover new sides of yourself that had hidden away, and they had never really manifested, and suddenly they will pop up, and they will probably be rather easy to deal with if they come up at a later stage. I think typically those issues that have been there from the very beginning are also those that will only disappear at the very end. I mean, they are sort of persistent, but those that come up suddenly at a later stage, they are usually minor. Those can be dealt with, but you have to do it.
Thank you. Oh, this was such a lovely topic, and very practical tips we heard, and something to revise really and check these points what you gave. And There is one good question, but after that, if we have guided meditation, but Pirkko is writing, when preparing for something, when it's too much, you were talking about preparing not too little, not too much. Where is the border when it is too much?
If you are sort of, if you prepare, I mean, I gave the examples. If you prepare to the extent that you feel a sort of mental burden, or it's coming back again and again, and you cannot let go of the thought. Say something is, you're going to perform or deliver something in 2 weeks time, and effectively you have maybe half an hour's preparation. If you then if you think of it night and day, for 2 weeks, it's certainly over preparation, because you could just wait until maybe the very day and then spend half an hour and then be ready. And that is my principle. I would never start out thinking about things on the first day, because then that might be causing some sort of maybe very slight, but still a mental burden, and it will take away my attention from other things that are maybe more relevant. And so instead, I will wait as long as I can, and then if I know that I need to spend half an hour to prepare for this, I will do it on the very day. And sometimes it's not even something that requires preparation. It just takes 2 weeks before you are going to do it, but still you may be obsessed, with the worry or whatever. Maybe a doctor appointment, or it could be anything. Again, we have to teach ourselves not to think, to just have faith, and let go of any sort of worry, any anticipation. Just let things come at their own time, develop in their own time, and just ride along, as surfing along on the wave of time.
Wonderful, smooth and easy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Viggo. We would like to invite you to give us a guided meditation for some 10-15 minutes, if that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Certainly.
Thank you so much.
So let me begin with focusing my awareness I focus my attention on the third eye in the middle of my forehead. For the next few minutes, I will try to let go of the past, of all my entanglements and responsibilities, duties, plans. all the threads that are tying me to this world. Some of them are justified, others are not. But I will let go of all of them now. Just be with myself, inside myself. So I turn my awareness inwards, and I become aware of myself as the immortal soul, the spiritual being behind my forehead. The soul. And as I withdraw, I detach from all things outside, everything I perceive through my senses. And I become introverted. This is a natural state of detachment from my sense organs and from the external world. And in this state of mind, I can dwell into my inner resources, qualities, peace, bliss, happiness, love. All of these are innate qualities of myself, the soul. And I feel how my mind has become free. Nothing is pulling my mind anymore. No thoughts of the past, no thoughts of the future. I'm just dwelling at the moment, in a state of pure joy, of contentment. This is the state of soul consciousness. I am now beyond the consciousness of my body, and I am free to travel, to move beyond the confinements of space and time. And I can transport myself beyond this world with all its activity and busy life. I can move beyond, back to my home, the soul world. My spiritual residence. And this is the world that is in front of me, the golden red expanse of light. This is the world from which I have come, to which I will return, to which I belong. And this is where I find the Supreme God, the ocean of peace, the ocean of love, the ocean of mercy. And from this source, I can fill myself. I can heal. And repair. This is a kind of fire which melts all the impurities, all the alloy in the soul, makes everything move around and reunite into perfection. Everything is smoothed out, all the roughness of the soul, all the chips and all the injuries, the scorching, all that is removed. And remolded, and I emerge as a new mold, like a refurbished, recycled soul. And with this, I can choose any shape I want, any virtue, any power, any character I want to build. I have the freedom, true freedom, because all inhibitions, all obstacles have been removed. I am reset back to a state that is neutral, but pure and clean, and therefore powerful. And so freedom is a reality for me. I can act based on free will. And based on wisdom. And when those two unite, I can shape my life as I like. From this world I now descend and return to the world of space and time and action, rejuvenated. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Viggo. Wonderful meditation and definitely a lovely talk. Thank you for joining our Sunday talk series. And this is something we can all put forward for our friends, how to stay light. It was also recorded. So thank you very much.